Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. My name is Chrism, and I am happily joined here by Julia Fashji, guest 1433, Phil Karuba. And here in the studio, I am joined by...
Hi there, it's Brooke.
And this is Brooke, and...
This is Rosemary. Good afternoon.
Rosemary wishes everyone a good afternoon. And so I just want to say welcome, everybody, to this program. But before I get started, there's something very sacred I have to do. I have to introduce Her Holiness, the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts, Amelia Centaur! Woohoo!
Why, thank you. I think it's good to be here. Hello, Brooke. Hello, Rosemary. Hi to everybody in the studio. I can see you all this week, which is nice, and you're all very welcome. I'll begin, as I always do, by saying hello and by letting you know where you can go to if you would like to make a donation to Kundalini Awakening Systems and the work that Chrism does. It's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and in the upper right-hand corner you will find a donate button. And it's very easy to follow the instructions from there. We always say during this announcement that there's no expectation or there's no, demand, and there's no, there is no need to donate. But a lot of people, because what Chrism does, he does and gives this information, these teachings for free. At the same time, he also needs to pay bills and do the various things we all need to do, and therefore, if somebody wants to donate, and people do, and if they're in a position to do that, this is probably the easiest and the best place to make the donation. So that is at www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And if that doesn't suit you and you would like another way to donate, you can get in contact with me at kundalinimatters@gmail.com, and we can have a conversation about alternative methods. So that's my announcement, Chrism. And as always, I'm really looking forward to today's show and the conversations that will happen.
Today is a very, very cool show, I have to say. But first, in order to initiate that coolness upon all of us, I am going to enlist the assistance of Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Chrism. Hello, everyone. I would like to announce Kundalini at the Castle. I assume that's what you want me to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Kundalini at the Castle with Chrism seminar and Shakti coming up in just a couple of weeks. Saturday, May 9th and Sunday, May 10th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can call me to register. We still have time. My phone number is area code 360-732-7076. Or
Again?
you can email me. Again, area code 360-732-7076. And you can email me also at Dalton Gonzalez, DAULTONGONZALEZ.Elizabeth@gmail.com.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, and so, and Elizabeth, were you able to get together with the Facebook stuff?
I did. It's all done.
Oh, awesome. All right, I'll be looking for that. All right, putting you in the blue.
I messaged you. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And coming back to Her Holiness Santara in the lovely Emerald Isle of Ireland. Today, Santara, is a very, very special day. Today we have been given two examples of the miraculous from Kundalini. And this is a show that I would like to talk about Kundalini Miraculous. But before we get going with that, I would like to help people find another way of gaining insights into the information that's offered here. If you go to the YouTube channel or the YouTube network and you type in Chrism.Kundalini, Kundalini, on that network you can get about 310 videos on the Kundalini itself. You can also go to KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com. That is the numeral 1.com. We're on Facebook at Kundalini Awakening ! And Kundalini Awakening Systems 2, Kundalini Awakening Systems 3, and Kundalini Healing, all on the Facebook networks. We also are on Yahoo networks at Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at YahooGroups.com and Kundalini Healing at YahooGroups.com. We're also on the Yahoo groups with the Kundalini Virgins group, the Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 Tantra group, and various other groups on the Yahoo networks, which is where we began to bring these teachings into the public. So if you have questions or if you'd like to explore further into these teachings, please feel free to go to those areas, as well as going to Kundalini Matters at gmail.com, as well, and Eileen's is Kundalini Living. So if you go to Kundalini Living, Eileen Laurel's blog will really begin to help to inform you about the many different aspects of teachings. And let me make sure. I'm going to go over to Eileen right now. Eileen.
Hi, Chrism.
Did I do it right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So it's Kundalini Living, right?
Yes, it is. Kundalini Living.
At blogs, what is it, Kundalini? What's the whole address?
It's oh, geez, I'd have to look it up. It's Kundalini Living. If you just type in Kundalini Living, it comes up. It's a blog talk, just like your blogs. It's the same thing, but it does come up with... I'm sorry?
Nope, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, putting you back into the blue, my dear.
Thank you.
All right. Well, as I let's see, any other discussions or announcements I need to make. So 9th and 10th in the month of May, we will be in Port Townsend in Washington State, United States. Do your best to get here if you really want to experience definitive levels of Kundalini experience and authentic experience within yourself. There will be music, there will be celebration, there will be many talks beforehand. Really a good time had by all, and so I strongly recommend that you come. It's not all a big party. There's about 18 plus hours of didactic information that's being given. And examples and physical exercise and exercises for each of the bodies of the human expression. So something really for the sacred and the Kundalini consciousness itself coming into you. And I would like to thank Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez for being the point person in this, and for everybody who's going to come. Santara will be there. Rosemary will be there. Many, many people will be there. I'm going to try to get Julia to come out too, and Fashji, really putting it out there for people to come and experience this. It's such a beautiful place, Washington State. And if anybody's interested, I want to go out amongst the killer whales. So that will be another scheduled activity that we'll be doing shortly after the seminar or somewhere in and around our visit there. I want to go out in a very, very small, tiny little boat and carouse gently with the killer whales. So let's see what that can be arranged here. Let me go over to Elizabeth, see if that's on the docket. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi.
You feel like carousing with killer whales?
I do. And the best place here is to just take the regular ferry over to Friday Harbor, walk on the ferry. There are orcas. Usually they breach right up next to the ferry the whole way. So we can do that, or we can take a small boat. They have orca watching boats, and I can check into that as well.
Oh, that would be wonderful. How about just like a little wooden dinghy with maybe a leak somewhere in it?
We can,
and then rowing it.
Well, and Port Townsend has the largest wooden boat festival and wooden boat school here, so we can probably rent, something to do.
So something
like that.
Very good, very good. I know Fashti in particular. Fashti in particular might have an interest in being out there in a leaky little wooden boat where the whales are breaching. I think he has that level of confidence and trust that the Kundalini would bring him through it at all costs. Is that not right, Fashti? Fashti is on the chat room right now. I'm looking at Julia and Elizabeth. Fashti, guest 1433, guest 1444, Mr. Lauren White or Mrs. Lauren White, Phil Karuba, and A.A. Tanya, a new person here. So welcome, Tanya. Okay, let us begin. Today's program is about the miraculous Kundalini. I have experienced this quite a few times in my life, and but today we have special announcements to make that really do tie in with the miraculous Kundalini. And Santara, how long have you been looking for a house?
Since October, November, Chrism.
See now, Santara and John, her husband, and her 7 children have all been living in her little Honda automobile on the streets of Cork. Is that right?
No, not quite. No. We have not, but we have sold our house and we are looking for a new one. And so that's stressful even when you have a house. Prices are increasing and there's a lot of things going on, and you're searching and you go look and it falls through, and there's been a lot of that sort of thing. And I suppose just to continue, there have been a lot of things I could tell you about this, but I'll cut to the chase. I was booked to fly.
No, not yet. Oh my gosh. Let's not cut to the chase quite yet. I want them to know about that hideous little bungalow that you had put money down on. I want you to tell them about the business place that was like a donation center for homeless people that you were going to live at. Tell them about that.
Okay. Well, you see, it's complicated, Chrism, because we had moved from County Kerry to Cork for lots of reasons. I had gone to Kerry in the first place because my Kundalini brought me there, and I had followed that direction, and I had lived there for 4 years, three and a half years. And the time had come to move back to Cork for various reasons, and the Kundalini was behind that as well. And so I was moving back to Cork, and very happy to do it. And I'm after getting a complete blank.
You're getting a blank?
Yeah, what were we talking about?
We're talking about
How you
the effect of McDonald's French fries on the Kundalini person.
No, seriously, we're talking about houses, aren't we?
Actually, no. We're talking about whether or not there are really elves in the Irish landscape. Now,
there's a topic. I could talk about that. There are. But, so we're after moving back to Cork, and we need to look for a house. And so the very first, and we decide that our daughter is going to go to a mainstream school because my daughter has a disability, but she's going to go to a mainstream school. And then, Chrism, can I just cut all that out? I don't want to talk about it.
Go ahead, my dear. I can see it.
It's complicated, and if I may just skip it. Thank you. But the thing is, we found this house that was over a shop, and it was in a commercial area, and I was getting this communication from the Kundalini at the time about moving into an area where there would be something commercial that I was to become involved in, and I kept feeling it was to be a cafe or food, and that I was also to be in a position maybe to do a meeting area to do with my massage, to do with Kundalini. I wasn't sure. I would get just these sensations and feeling that this is... So when this house came up, I was immediately pulled to it. Now, it was in very bad condition. I needed a huge amount of work, but I was very drawn to it. So we went and we looked at it, and we did bid on it, and we did not get it. And then there was another house that we also did some work in. Now, Chrism didn't like any of them. And there was very good reason why you wouldn't. But the whole time that we were looking at the houses, I would be getting these messages or communications, nothing definite. It's very hard for me sometimes to explain how the Kundalini communicates, because sometimes it's crystal clear. And when it's crystal clear, it's crystal clear. But sometimes it isn't. It's like a compulsion to do something, and I know it's from the Kundalini, but I don't have an understanding of why I'm to do this. And those houses were very like that. And so for the first time, I had no interest in looking at anything commercial or looking at anything that was sort of residential. I had no interest, but I had this compulsion that we were to look at it. And it had pulled us away from an area of the city that we were looking at. When that fell through, this 3-bedroomed bungalow that is actually up near the school where my daughter is now going to go, which is a special school, I was very much pulled to this, and it was good value, and it was detached, and we were looking at that. But the whole time that house, that we were looking at that house, this thing about the other one that had fallen through kept coming into my mind, and I was wondering, is it that we're going to get that house eventually or what? And there was something underlying about this other one that wasn't right. It wasn't for us, even though it ticked an awful lot of the boxes from an ego, logistical reasons. So anyway, eventually, last week, I knew that this house wasn't for us. So myself and John decided that we would let it go. And at the same time, I had booked in, I was going to be coming to the ashram. I was also going to the seminar. And because there's a lot of stuff happening in the property market here, sales are, the cost of everything is going up. Since we started looking for our property last November, prices have gone up 50,000. It's been just amazing. So there's a time factor. There's a little bubble or something going on here in this country. And so I was faced with the fact that there was no way that I could come to the seminar. There was no way that I could come away from what was going on in my family and give 5 weeks away from that and leave John and the family here and not look at houses. So I contacted Chrism last week, and I said, Chrism, I'm not going to be able to come. I'm just not going to be able to come. I need to prioritize this and stick with it. And I'm going to have to sell, try and get a refund on my ticket, or try and, push it out and come much later in the year or next year. And Chrism said to me, don't do anything with your ticket until the very last possible moment. And I said, okay, and that was just before last weekend. And one of the days, was it Sunday? Sunday morning, I wake up. The Kundalini wakes me most days during the golden hour. So this Sunday morning, I woke up 4 a.m. I didn't get out of bed. I do sometimes to do a practice, and sometimes I don't. I got my iPad and I just looked at the groups, and as I woke up into consciousness, I got the name of a place in Cork, not in Cork City, but out a good bit. It just came into my head. And I didn't pay any attention to it because things come in and out of my head all the time. But I just started to work with the groups, and I did whatever I had to do, and maybe 15, 20 minutes passed, and I went to turn off my iPad and lie back down. When I got the compulsion, the Kundalini communication, the name came again, and I was told, not in words, now this is in the knowing and the feeling, check the property from there, Amelia. And because Kundalini communicates without words, but with these knowings and gives me direction that way, I respond to it very quickly. I kind of go, okay, and I just do it. So I picked up my iPad and I opened Google, and as I'm putting in the name of the place that I was given, I'm going, really? I mean, really? What? I had no interest. It never even crossed my mind. It's outside the city. It's a half an hour from Cork. It's by the sea, all right, but it's just a place I had never thought of. So I'm going, really? And I put in the name, and a couple of properties came up. And they were certainly, better value than we had been getting. But there was two of them that I was immediately pulled to. Kundalini, when it communicates, goes, and I immediately knew that I was to look at these properties. There was one in particular that I was very drawn to. So when John woke up later, before we even got out of bed, I said to him, John, I had a Kundalini communication, and I was given the name, this place, and I've looked it up, and there's one property in particular, and John is used to this sort of thing happening. So he went, really? I mean, there? And I went, yeah, John. So I said, I told him what the property, about the property, and we had a little look at it. And I said, we need to go check this out. And he went, okay. So on
He's
Monday,
probably listening. He's listening right now, isn't he?
He actually isn't, but he often is. But he might listen. He sometimes listens on the archive. So he said, okay. So we got in contact with the auctioneer on Monday morning, and we went down and we looked at the first property, which we really weren't interested in, and we went and we looked at the second property. And what's interesting about this property is that it's up over a shop that used to be a bakery, so there's a commercial aspect to it. And then the house is up over that, and it's looking out on the sea. It's in the middle of the town, and it gives all the things that I felt pulled. It ticks all the boxes. It's like the Kundalini gave me stepping stones with the other houses, because
what's a ting? Did you say you're getting tings? Just kidding.
Well, that's the third.
Oh yeah, that would be the third.
Yeah. I think, yeah. So anyway, it was amazing. I mean, maybe it just sounds very ordinary now. I don't know. But I wasn't going to the seminar. We were totally despairing of having to relaunch ourselves in to look for a house. And given the name of this place, that was nowhere in my mind. I go to the internet, I find a house. I say to John, we have to go look at this house. And we go, because I was told to go, without really any expectations, and we connect with the house for all kinds of reasons. And I can see immediately once I'm there that there have been stepping stones, because the Kundalini moved me away from where we had been looking to this, we'll call it the charity shop place, across the city. Then it moved me up to another part of the city, and then further out again. And all the things that I had thought about that original house are present in this one. But it is amazing because the commute is it fits everything, Chrism. My son can get a little train, 20 minutes to school, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. So we made an offer, and the first offer was turned down, but the second offer, we went to look at the house again then yesterday, and the second offer was accepted. And so in 2 days, and I knew because I had a dream as well on the Monday about, I had this dream and I was inside in a room and it was a white room. It wasn't a white room, but the room was full of light. And I knew it was a seminar and there was people around in a semicircle and I was talking and Chrism was in the room. And even as I was dreaming, I knew that it was the seminar and I was aware of, does this mean, is this about the seminar? Am I going to be going to the seminar? Or is it about something away down the road? And then this happened and now I'm going to the seminar because this house needs no work done to it. Absolutely nothing done to it. So it'll be ready and for us in 5 weeks' time, just when I come back from the seminar.
How
so
cool
it means I have 5 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, in 2 days, Chrism.
So I want to, because she's right. I didn't like any of the options she was looking at, and and I was frankly just kind of going, why waste your time? But okay, whatever. And then she called me up the other day and she said, oh no, we are Chrism, we are not coming to the States. We are not coming to the seminar. We are not coming. And I'd heard this like 3 times before. And I said, okay. And I said, well, don't do anything with your ticket. Just leave the ticket as it needs to be until the very last minute. And then if you have to get your money back that way, then go ahead and get your money back. And then boom, they get this new place. The Kundalini Shakti so wants her. But what she forgot to mention is that Brooke, Rosemary, and I went into prayer right there in the car to allow her to come over to that. She gets the house, the whole bit, and boom, we got it. We got it, people. This stuff works. This stuff works. And so, I want a heads up for Fasti, and I want a heads up for Julia. I want a heads up for them, and Brooke and I and Rosemary, we're going to go into prayer for them as well, and just to really, really give them the opportunity to realize that this stuff does work. It does work. It will happen. Julia's place will get fixed up. It will get sold. The things that she has coming to her will occur. Okay? The stuff that Fasti has coming to him will occur because the Kundalini wants it to occur. But you got to get out of the way. You got to step out of the way. You got to let your doubts step out of the way. And we're not done with these amazing stories, Julia. We have an amazing story to tell today. Today. This happened how many hours ago?
An hour ago.
This happened about an hour ago. Okay. Now Brooke is in a very difficult position. The Kundalini has put her in a very, very difficult spot. It put her into a 3 days of bliss, or
it was 3, but it was a little bit longer.
A little bit longer than 3 days of bliss, and it downloaded a lot of information into her. Basically, and some of the gist of that information was that it was directing her to come out to the ashram where she is right now, sitting right to my right. She needed to come out. She needed to work on devotion. She needed to give her life into the Kundalini equation. And so she paid attention. She paid attention to a great deal. She's out here. She's learning. She's progressing. And I got to tell you, folks, she is progressing. She's showing definite signs of progress. And one of the definite signs of progress is that she's moving to Santa Rosa. And so we went out house hunting today. I had to stand in line to do my taxes. This in the States right now. This is the big, last day of taxes, and so of course, I'm holding out to the very end. And So instead of standing in that line, since I have till like 5 o'clock PST to do that, I said, well, let's just go look at the house. Let's go look at the places that you decided to go to. And so, what was the name of this place? Sunburst, right? So she's going to Sunburst, which always reminds me of the Kundalini anyway. So we go to Sunburst, we park the car, Rosemary hangs out in the car, and Brooke and I go in to see this place. And we're looking at it, we're going, wow, this is the nicest place on the block. This place is clean, it's organized, it's they're taking care of the landscaping, they got a clean swimming pool. I mean, how many apartment complexes can say we've got a clean swimming pool? Anyway, so we're walking to the place, she meets us, she's a very ebullient, very, very kind of like she's a happy woman. She's telling us all about, there's people are showing up right and left. All of a sudden her little manager's office gets filled up with people, and so she leads us all out. We go over to the place that she's renting, and we look at it. The guy's got all his stuff in there, and I feel like I'm in like a home invader, And anyway, so we look at it, and it's just new this, new that, upper heater, lower heater, stairs, the whole bit. And we come back down to the manager's office, and and we basically were there one person late. I mean, the guy right ahead of us got the place, and so Rosemary and we decided to step out of the car. I got her out of the car, and I wanted to just have a conversation about Kundalini conversation, and Brooke has gone in again and delivered her, what was it, application for paperwork and all that stuff, and she came back to the cards. Basically, she found out we didn't get it. So okay, fine. So I drive them back to the ashram here, and I drive back. I stand in line. I do the whole thing, and I get ready, and I'm going to turn the story over to Brooke right now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
You gonna hold that? Well, we get back to the ashram, and the manager in the apartment complex just called me right before we went on live here, and told me that the gentleman that had rented the place or put his application and fees before me wanted me to have it, and called her and told her that he was going to give it to me. And she called and said that she also wanted me to have it, that she liked Chrism, thought Chrism was lovely, and also myself.
So there you have it, folks. I mean, this does not happen in Sonoma County. Sonoma County is a resort county. I mean,
what she's going to do with it.
And she's going to, and Brooke has a pet that, that's like, these kinds of pets aren't accepted in this county, and so this woman's going to work with her on the pet. But this stuff doesn't happen. I have never once heard of this happening in this county at all. And I've been the person that rents out the place. Okay, this is amazing stuff. And Marky, I see you're posting it here, and I see that's okay. We'll answer some of your questions, Marky Sparks. This is a person on the chat group. But wow. So all of a sudden, the Kundalini is reaching out for Brooke to continue her progress, to continue the work that she started when she bought the plane ticket out here in the first place. So this is very, very interesting stuff, and a lot of what's been coming up for Brooke and for Rosemary are levels of surrender. What does it mean to surrender your life to the Kundalini? What does it mean to give your attention, your body, your mind, your emotions into the Kundalini? What does that mean? To trust, to have faith, Kundalini's effect on the body. I typically tell people, well, you don't really need to have a lot of faith in that because you feel it. You don't have to go, oh, I hope that I'll be able to feel the gargantuan kriya that I promise you'll feel it. You will know it beyond a shadow of a doubt. You will know that you are having a Kundalini kriya when you have them. But the miraculous of the Kundalini, until it really jumps right into your face. You know, you're just kind of looking at that. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and reiterate a little bit about what Brooke experienced before she came out here. I had one Skype session with her, I think. One Skype session. And then I was with Rosemary and Josephine. We were out to Mount Shasta. So weeks went by. And, she's emailing me, and as some of you may know, that I don't really, when I'm traveling, my emails are a little more sporadic and less organized than when I'm here at the ashram. As Julia and Amelia and many of the people that have traveled with me know that we spend most of the day driving across Arizona, or driving across California, driving somewhere, and so I'll check the email when I can. If we're eating at a place that has internet, I can check the emails, this type of thing, and so I was very, very sporadic with Brooke. I didn't know Brooke from anybody, and the Kundalini was giving me absolutely no information on Brooke, except that I didn't really like the pictures on her Facebook page. And I'm just kind of going, oh God, there's like trouble on the hoof right there. I'm just like going, I don't know about that. And so I'm just putting it offside. She wrote me another email that I kind of read, but I sent her a happy face. And then one day I'm here, I'm finished with my traveling. I'm back here. I see that she's online. I see that I'm online. I go, okay, let's Skype. Can you Skype now? And there's a 3-hour difference between California and Pennsylvania. And so she just said, yeah. So we did a Skype session. And right after the Skype session is when the bliss hits you, right? Mm-hmm. So Brooke immediately goes into bliss. Now let's talk a little bit about Kundalini bliss. Kundalini bliss that verges on ecstasy, you really don't get to do anything but do that. It's not like you can continue eating your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't get to take the garbage out. You don't get to play on the computer. You don't get to get up and open the door. You have to go right where you're having it. Typically, you're going to be off of your feet, or if you're on your feet, you're going to be leaning against something or sitting in a chair or laying on your bed. When the Kundalini comes and she brings grace and bliss and bordering on ecstasy into your life, you are to stand and receive, or to sit and receive. And were you sitting?
Yes.
She was on the kitchen floor, right?
Kitchen floor. It happened several times throughout that week. So there were many times where it was almost like a force would sort of move me.
No, yeah. I mean, you get put on the floor.
Yeah, you get put on the floor.
I'm just lucky. I'm lucky during the seminars that I don't get put on the floor. Sometimes I feel like I've been put on the floor, but I'm always asking somebody like Rosemary or somebody who's there. It's like, where was I? What happened?
Right.
I agree, Fast Chief Marky. Turn those caps off. Anyway, yeah. So poor Brookie's on the floor, and she's like experiencing bliss. She's experiencing, bordering on ecstasy. At the same time, Kundalini is downloading information into her head, downloading, and she was telling me she was like trying to reach for the phone. And think about that. We live by our telephones in this society, and she's trying to reach for the phone. You can just imagine this hand shaking with bliss, trying to reach for the phone while she's having ecstasy and bliss. Were you able to pick it up?
No, I was trying to reach for the phone so that I could record what was coming out of my mouth. But it was not, that was not going to happen.
That was not going to happen.
But I was receiving a lot of direction and instruction, it felt like, at the same time the bliss was occurring.
She received a lot of instruction and a lot of... Oh, I see, Marky. I see why you're capitalizing it. You can't see your writing so much. Oh, that's fine then. That's fine. Thank you. So Brooke is trying to record what she's given in order to remember it. But the Kundalini doesn't work that way with us. Often during the bliss and during the ecstasy, you won't get to remember except that which it wants you to remember. So she knew she had to come out here. She knew she had to surrender to this. And it was very easy right after Bliss and Ecstasy to go through that surrender move. But it's not so easy after you've had a little bit of time away from it, and it's like, oh my gosh, God, I don't have a job, and I have my pet, and oh God, my God, my makeup, and my hair curler. I mean, oh my God, will I be able to? I'm kidding.
Not even right.
It's like all the important things in life, right? So. so she's struggling with it, struggling. She says she comes into my face, she comes right in my face. She says, "You think I'm doing the right thing?"
I did not.
And I'm going, you got to trust your Kundalini. You got to trust your process. And I really want to put that out there, especially for folks who may have something on the line. It's just like, you got to trust what is happening. Trust this process. Trust the Kundalini, even and especially when it takes you out of your comfort zones, when it takes you out of your complacency, when it takes you out of what you've grown to become expected of. You expect to have a job. You expect to have a bank account. You expect to have a car. You expect to have a roof over your head. You expect to have everything that we have in life, we expect to have in life. Everything. Except for when the Kundalini comes along and says, oh, well, now you're supposed to give your life to God's hand upon your shoulder and God's hand inside of your heart. And God's hand inside of your brain. And with the shoulder, God is pushing you one way. With your heart, God's making you feel another way. And with your... What's going on here? Oh, I see. And with your mind, God is changing your mind. Changing your mind. And your ego is going, forget that. Things were fine. I didn't need any help. I was controlling Brooke's life completely fine, just the way it was. Step back. I want control again. And God is just patiently going, let's show Brooke something else. Let's show Brooke another miracle. Let's show Brooke how I can reach into somebody else's heart and how I can reach into somebody else's mind. And through the grace of divinity, allow that person to experience the gift of a great gift. And in this case, a place to live in Sonoma County, which is really being boondoggled right now because Google has decided to set up shop in California and everybody wants to use Santa Rosa as the bedroom community, which is driving the rents right up. Person, through the grace of Kundalini, and through Brooke's grace and Kundalini, through mine and through Rosemary's Kundalini grace, has been given another example of what it is to have the Kundalini Miraculous come into her life. And this is all within 2 months, folks. She had the bliss how long ago?
4 or 5 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks ago. Okay. Now I've had this type of thing occur for me too. I have to admit, I've had certain people come into my life at certain times that had exactly what was required by the Kundalini for me. I mean, Ed gave me the iPad. I needed the iPad at the time for traveling. And the iPhone also came from Josephine, and Josephine's the one that gave me health care because there was no way on God's earth I was going to go out and get health care, and just to find out yesterday that I've been fined by Obama for not having health care. I mean, this is great. Anyway, so Kundalini Miraculous happens in many, many, many different ways. And if you are able, I'm going to plug this seminar again. If you are able to come out to this seminar, I believe firmly, and I'm talking to Fast G and Julia right now, I believe firmly that things will be arranged for for the limitations that you feel are encasing you in a current scenario that you may be trying to get out of, or the circumstances can be changed for you. Phil Karuba says, he's looking at the Philippines as a nice place right now. And if he really wants to go there and he really feels the need to go there, the desire to relocate there, well, then that will be created for him, if it serves the Kundalini within him and he gives himself into the Kundalini. It's not the type of scenario where you're praying to God, or you're even doing the power of prayer, as I've discussed on another show. If you have to give in this case. You have to give. Oh, okay. I say, and Julia's answer, she says, but can't we have Kundalini just as well from anywhere? Well, I'm not sure what you're getting as far as the geographics go, but I feel that when why would you have been drawn to visit me at all in January? What would be the point, Julia? Why would Brooke be drawn to come to the ashram? Why? If you can have Kundalini anywhere, well, then why weren't you having it? Sometimes when you get closer to the sun, that's when the germination sprouts. We were in Yosemite National Park, as some of you know. We were doing some videos there, and I had Rosemary. How old are you, Rosemary?
74.
74-year-old Rosemary doing class 5 climbing without safety, i.e., no ropes, no belaying, no special shoes. Rosemary is doing class 5 climbing in Yosemite National Park, where every year people die in climbing accidents, and she just scurried right up that rock like it was nothing. She could have done it blindfolded. Okay, I had Rosemary and Brooke, a model from New York who basically has probably done about 0 class 5 climbing in her life, right? Am I right?
Okay. I've never done that before.
Yeah, never done that before. Climbing right up and really having to push themselves because they're not used to doing some of the things that I'm asking them to do. I'm asking them to trust. I'm asking them to really trust their process and open themselves to receiving the gifts of grace in the many different ways that it comes. Now, it'll come through me. It'll come through me, and it'll also come from just being in the beautiful environment and accepting its grace within you. Julia says, but can't we have Kundalini just as well from anywhere? Well, of course we can. But it also has its agenda with us. It also has its desire to infuse, to educate, to learn, to be close to a source or a teacher that is bringing itself within this community, this environment, into the grace of itself through that person. So we can have it and we can hold it, but we also need to let it have and hold us. And by allowing it to have and hold us, we are bringing ourselves into that greater alignment with the force of divinity within us. It takes a level of sacrifice. You sacrifice a mode of thinking. You sacrifice an expectation of comfort. You sacrifice many different areas and expressions of our life. You sacrifice your safety net. You sacrifice what it is to be appropriate. These are the areas of our lives, of our comfortable, Western-oriented lives, that the Kundalini will often ask us to sacrifice and give into the process of itself within us, of the bursting of itself within us, of the enlightenment of itself within us. Rosemary didn't hesitate. She started scrambling up that rock, boom, without a problem. I was hesitating more than she was. And she did it. And she did well. And so did Brooke. Even though they didn't like me singing the hi ho, off to work we go song, from Walt Disney. They stayed with me even when I was singing that song. Think about that. That was probably the biggest trauma for them.
That made me want to jump.
Brooke says that made me want to jump off that cliff. So yeah. Today I'm asking Rosemary to reorganize the way she thinks about the Kundalini, to reorganize the way she does this or she does that, and she's looking at me and I can see she's really working hard, and she's sacrificing, she's moving in to a greater alignment with her inner grace by doing these things, by suffering such outrage. And I'm suggesting all of you to suffer that kind of outrage. Give your Kundalini everything that you could possibly give it. And even give it that which you may depend upon as a security net. You may depend upon as an understanding of how your life is moving and where your ego mind wants it to move, and possibly where the Kundalini mind wants it to move, and you give yourself into the Kundalini mind. Let it live your life with you. People want activation. We just had somebody named Sparky on there, right? On the chat group. They've left. They want it to be awakened. They want it to do, they want the Kundalini. We get this on the group all the time. Oh my gosh, Chrism, will you awaken my Kundalini? Give me the divine grace. But what are they willing to give? What levels of comfort are they willing to give over to the Kundalini? What levels of complacency are they willing to give to the Kundalini? And once, say, the Kundalini gives them something, is that the end of the deal? Is the deal over now? Okay, I asked for it, you gave it to me, I sacrificed this, we're fine, we're done. Is that what's going on? Is it like a poker game? Okay, I won that hand. What happens next? Kundalini is forever. It doesn't leave the body. Once it's awake, the genie does not go back in the bottle, as you've heard me say before. So what are you thinking, folks? When you want that Kundalini coming up, and for those of you that already have it coming up, what are you thinking? And Phil Karuba, he just wrote, he says, I suffered and I still suffer to receive Kundalini. Well, I'm not sure Kundalini wants your suffering, Phil. It wants you to give control of your life over to it. To that which is within. The kingdom of heaven is within. How have you given yourself to the Kundalini? It doesn't really, it will give you pain. It will give you all the pain it wants you to have. It's got no problem with dishing out the pain, let me tell you. You want pain? Kundalini wants you to have pain? Guess what? You're going to have pain. But what about the sacrifice? What are you putting into it? What are you willing to give into this grace? And what about your belief system? What about your mind? What about your love, your heart, your emotions, your body? The destiny of your life. What about that? What about your personal safety? If with your permission, Julia, I want to bring up what you were feeling when you were with me in Sedona, and those entities were just lining up, and you knew they were there to hurt you. They were going to consume you. They were going to do everything that they could to take away your life, your joy, your happiness. They were there to hurt. But you gave yourself to the Kundalini, and that possibility of them hurting you just left. It left the room. It left the room. Brooke has been feeling all kinds of trauma this week. Oh my God, I only got this much time left here, and I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that, and you're asking me to stay, and the Kundalini's asking me to stay. Was it WTF? Stop it at easy time. And we're driving around, we're looking for a place, this road is inaccessible, that place won't do, this place, that place, there's no places on the internet, there's nothing to see, there's nothing to do. And then today, the one place, and I got to tell you, the only place we were able to see the inside of is the one place that she's being given. See, there's a very, very, very strong level of Kundalini arithmetic that happens in these places, in these times. You got to give yourself into the Kundalini first. You have to give it control. Let it work through you. Put your ego aside. Put your fear aside. Put your desire to control your destiny aside and allow the Kundalini Miraculous to come into your life. Kundalini's not coming to you if you're going to try to control it. It's just not going to come. And if it does come to you and you try to control it, well, then let's go back to Phil in pain again. Vashti writes, amen to the pain. Well, let me tell you. And Vashti knows. Vashti knows. You don't get to control Kundalini. You don't get to decide what it does and what it doesn't do. It will decide for you. What you get to do is you get to give yourself into that divine guidance. You get to give yourself into that divine grace. That divine grace. It's like God's hand is on your shoulder, and you don't get to take that hand and push it off because you want to have the control. And let me tell you, when the grace of the divine has its hand on your shoulder, you don't get to really try to figure out what is going on. It's like Brooke when she was having the bliss, sprawled out on the kitchen floor. It will tell you what it wants you to do. It will tell you what you are to do. And if you get to remember it, then you will get to have that beautiful memory of certain things. And she was given certain memories that she was able to retain. Kundalini is divinity. It is the Maha power in the universe. Maha meaning the ultimate power of the universe. And Julia and Vashti and Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez and Ma Devasab, y'all have this. Rosemary has this. Brooke has this. I have this. We have this. Santara, well, maybe. She is Irish. I'm kidding. I think I'm in trouble now. Are you still there? Santara, put you in the blue, dear. You're still there. You're probably sitting on the toilet. Santara has this, as is proven by this house, and how she got the house, and how she was led to the house, and the dreams she's getting. Really, really surrender to the Kundalini. Give your God-given grace to the Kundalini, and let that God-given grace begin to control your life. If it wants you to move, then you move. Brooke is finding out. If it wants you to change jobs, then you change jobs. If it wants you to get a divorce, then guess what? That's probably going to occur. Nobody ever said Kundalini was easy. Nobody ever said that you could boss Kundalini around. Nobody ever said that, oh, if you pray to God and you tell God what exactly it is you want done and how you want it done, when you want it done, where you want it done, that it's going to get done. Nobody ever said that. And if they do say it, I would say politely walk away. Kundalini tells us in many, many different ways, many, many different forms, how it wants us to be, what it wants us to be, what it wants us to do, where, when, how, and why. Not always why. You don't always get to know why. Okay. Tanya writes, I have lost all desire for physical intimacy. I am to be single. I can't work, can't read. LOL, she says. Everything keeps breaking. I didn't ask for this, but it's the only thing worth having. And amen to you, my dear. You're being given opportunities to surrender to the Kundalini. It will take your libido. It will take it and it will use it for your transformation. You don't always get to have your libido. Think about that, folks. You don't get to have your libido. You don't get to have the dietary interests that you've had before. You don't get to have the hobbies that you've had before, maybe the friends that you've had before, the spouse that you've had. Kundalini takes charge in every area of our lives. And the best thing that you can do, as Tanya is finding out, is to obey the Kundalini. Give yourself to the Kundalini. And she writes, it's the only thing worth having. And let's be bold enough to say what it is. It's called enlightenment. And enlightenment is the only thing worth having. It is the raison d'être of why we are here. We live life after life after life after life after life, refining ourselves to the point that we can have and hold the divine grace within us and still have a physical body. That's worth having. We are that new species, Homo luminous, Homo kundalinius. We are the divine grace. We are the semi-divine race that is emerging on this planet. And it's just time to recognize it. And to give yourself into that grace. Begin to reformat your hard drive. How you think, how you act, what you do, what you don't do, how you feel, how you don't feel. Let Kundalini begin to do that. And make sure it's the Kundalini. Because there are plenty of discarnate entities out there that are willing to do the job, if you're so indiscriminate about what you're doing. You be very, very, very careful. You don't go to some Ouija board and go, oh, Kundalini, come to me. No, you don't do that. You don't go to to somebody that's putting a spell on people or an astrologer saying this or that. Because Kundalini takes you right out of astrology. Astrology is just it's a map of lives that we use to refine ourselves towards grace. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's the same with religion. Rosemary and I were having this big conversation about religion today. Religion is just one of the tools that grace uses to bring us into this level of enlightenment. It is not the end-all, be-all. It is just a stairway that we have to walk up to. And when we open the door that is on the end of that stairway, that upper end of the stairway, we open the door into enlightenment. As she is doing, and Brooke is doing, and Amelia is doing, and everybody who, a lot of the people I see on this chat room right here, they are awakened people. They are awake. Enlightenment is happening to them right now. If you're able to see them, you can see the halos around their head. They are examples of Kundalini Miraculous. Forget about the house. Forget about the car. Forget about status. Forget about power and position. embrace the enlightenment that is happening through the Kundalini, just as Tanya said. Blessings to you, Tanya. Phil Karuba says, yes, Tanya, I agree, but mine came at such a high price. There is no price high enough, Phil. What is enlightenment worth? What monetary value can be associated with semi-divinity? There is no price. Priceless. It is beyond monetary value. There is no measurement within a monetary valuation that one can give divinity, semi or full. Phil's typing. So I just wanted to put that out there. I just want to put that out there. Tanya says, Phil, I don't know what you have lost, but if it could be lost, it wasn't worth having. Whoa, there's some wisdom. There's some good wisdom. Nice going, Tanya. And I'm sure Phil's going to have a comeback to that. But anyway, I'm going to bring Her Holiness, Queen Santara, back. Make sure you flush. Make sure you flush. You know, don't leave that.
Sid has just written something there, Chrism.
Yeah, if I told you my story, you wouldn't believe it. Well, let me tell you, buddy, you're in good company here. You are in. This
is so true.
Sitting at this dinner table, you're in good company.
Yeah.
Somebody
was writing today on the group about their. Let me see, what was it? Their experience was, very, very different, not compared to 99% of others. But so much happens to us that we cannot possibly share of. Isn't this true for everybody? If we were to write our story, it would be totally unbelievable.
Well, people just wouldn't get it. They would feel the importance of it. First of all, because most people are in a real selfish grip of the ego, that unless it has some reference for them, like Tanya, saying everything's broken, if I have it, it's broken. I can totally relate to that because the Kundalini, basically broke everything I had, my vehicles, my computers, my phones, everything. So we can relate to that. But, Santara, evidently you're not being heard.
Oh, I see that. Heli?
Vashti, can you hear Santara? Is she coming through? Julia? Elizabeth?
Hey
Is she
ho.
coming through?
Hey ho. It's off to work.
No.
Can I be heard? Can you hear me, Vashti, or anybody else? Just do yes or no, please. Or Elizabeth, you're typing.
Okay. Okay. Ellie, you better turn up that volume. She's coming all the way from Ireland, so you got to turn it up a little bit more for that. Thank you.
Look at
that. Okay,
hi,
it's probably got an echo. It has an echo because I am hearing her through my speaker here. That's why she has an echo. And I don't. Yeah, you do. When they're hearing you through me. Yeah, because my microphone is picking up your voice.
I see. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that was wonderful, Chrism, and everybody. I just loved that whole thing there that you were speaking of. It was wonderful. It was an absolutely wonderful part of the show. I just, the way we give ourselves to the Kundalini and we allow it to have us. And, when the Kundalini controls me, when I allow that, when I give myself, when the Kundalini takes me, there is no suffering. I know it sounds, but it's true. Even through difficulty, surrender isn't about enduring, whereas suffering is. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. I was drinking my tea. I had to swallow.
Yeah. But anyway, I really thank you. I enjoyed that very much. Yeah.
What kind of questions do we have from the groups today?
Oh, okay. Let me see. I'm just quickly scrolling through. There's one question that came into my inbox, and it says, my family emotionally abuse me, manipulate me to do their bidding. They invalidate my opinions. I forgive them as best as I can, but really I want nothing more to do with them.
Then you should have nothing. You should have nothing more to do with them. To a certain degree, family members are often used to sharpen a person's tolerance, sharpen a person's forgiveness, sharpen a person's practice of the safety protocols. But once you've reached a certain point of participation in the refinement of your equation, and I know this because I was with people that were extremely abusive. I mean, you wouldn't treat a slave as badly as they treated me. Or a pet, or even a pet that you didn't like. And so you still forgive them, you still tolerate it. If you're listening to your Kundalini, then you kind of realize that the Kundalini has very, very special gifts that it's giving you through this painful interaction with other people, these petty tyrants that come into your life. Well, they come into your life for purpose. And that purpose is often levels of refinement that you would not be able to receive otherwise. As long as you hold on to that nugget of information, as long as you hold on to that understanding, you can learn the lessons that they're there to offer, and you will feel, soon enough, that if you learn them completely, they will just fall away from your life. And in this case, you'll just move away. But make sure that you continue your forgiveness, you continue your tolerance, and you continue to honor yourself and the Kundalini that's within you. And you will receive the intuition, or you will receive, like Brooke, you'll be given an exit door. You'll be given an exit door. It'll just suddenly appear, and I'll suggest you take it.
Okay, thank you, Chrism. There was a question today on the group about DNA, and I'm going to read it as it was written down because it comes up periodically. It says, my DNA too is activated.
Oh, Lordy.
Does it mean, I know, but it is something that comes up, so maybe you'd address it, Chrism. My DNA is activated. The question she's asking is, does it mean that one can experience Kundalini Kriya smoothly? But people refer to DNA in this way in lots of different ways,
See, Brooke is going to the bathroom during this question here. I'm just like, that's how important this question is. But it does come up. Centauri, you're absolutely correct. It does come up. Activated DNA. Well, the first thing I would ask is, how do you know your DNA is activated? How did that come to you? And typically, I went to a seminar and my DNA got activated because I paid them $800,000. And I got to touch that person's hand. And I felt tingles go through my hand, so I know my DNA is activated. Okay. DNA is never inactivated. We all have DNA. Oh, and you don't need 12 strands of it either. Let's just get that one taken care of right off the bat. We don't need 12-strand DNA. The only thing we need 12 strands on are some of those guitars that are like 12-string guitars that sound really cool. Okay. Your DNA works just fine with having 2 strands of DNA that when the Kundalini comes together forms a third harmonic strand, and there we go. We have those. We have the 2 strands and the harmonic third. Okay. Now, if we'll just say this, we'll pretend that this person has Kundalini activated, which she doesn't, but we'll just go ahead and pretend that she does. That, having Kundalini activate within you does not necessarily make anything easier. In many cases, it's like that Chinese curse. May you have all your karma come to you in one life. That's what Kundalini can be like. So you talk about, people being homeless for 12 years like I was. You talk about Brooke having a dog bite her in the face and rip off her lips. And you talk about people going through fragmentations. You talk about the real difficult areas of Kundalini activity within a person. You talk about that. And then you ask that person, if you could give them just a simulacrum of what say Brooke experienced, or what I experienced, or what other people that have had Kundalini fragmentation experience, just a tiny little bit of that pain, as Phil brought up. Let them have a taste of that pain, and then we'll ask them if they, if their DNA is activated. Okay. There is no such thing, in my opinion, of, within the New Age context, I should say. I find this whole 12-strand DNA and activated DNA kind of a false face in the presence of grace. And I know that rhymes, and I did not try to make that rhyme, but it's a false face in the presence of grace, because it does not have actual veracity within an enlightenment context, certainly not within the Kundalini context. And I believe it's in the Kundalini context that this person was asking the question. That's it.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Scrolling up. Yeah, the questions were interesting this week, and that they, Okay, so there was a question about hair. Now, I know we have spoken about hair before, and you've addressed this on the group, but we get new listeners all the time, Chrism.
What you're saying is that we've been here before?
We have.
Sorry.
Yes. So, does anyone know, the question was, does anyone know any natural way to grow hair fast and strong? And then there was a conversation happened on the group about hair and not cutting hair and that. Would you briefly address that issue about hair and why we would let our hair grow?
The length of the hair, Kundalini likes long hair. It likes men to have beards. It likes women to have hair down to the coccyx, or the tailbone. Kundalini, hair is a tube that carries radiance. It carries, the Kundalini follows it through the hair. If you look at the 1,000-petaled lotus at the top of the crown, the seventh chakra, the crown, a lot of those petals of the divine lotus have a strand of hair attached to it. Now, what happened to Western human that gave them the idea that the hair ever needed to be cut? I don't know. Maybe it just got too burdensome to clean. I don't know. But the Kundalini follows the hair with its radiance, and so you don't cut your hair. Now, I know I hear this from the girls a lot. Oh, my God, I get split ends.
Oh, we do.
I get split ends, Krista. What am I going to do? I can't go through life with a split end. So, yeah, you can cut your split ends, because I understand that they will damage the strand of hair. The split will just go right on up, and I get it. So you cut your split ends, but you don't cut your, and I know this sounds like you don't cut your hair to make it short. You let your hair grow as long as you can possibly grow it. But if you have to take care of the split ends, then fine. cut that 1/4 inch or whatever it is, typically. Brooke, what is it? No. Rosemary, what? Yeah, they're not cutting. They don't got split ends because they, but yeah, you let your hair grow. Men, if you can have a job where you can have a full beard, you do this because once again, the Kundalini radiance follows the flow of the hair follicle. Does this mean that you grow your leg hair? No. Does this mean that you grow your armpit hair? No. Does this mean that you grow your pubic hair? Well, yes, to some degree. Yeah, it does. Okay. I'm not opposed to the whole Brazilian thing. That's painful. You talk about pain, Phil. Talk to some of those girls that have had that Brazilian thing going on with the wax. Oh yeah, that's a little pain there. But moving right along,
yes.
You let the hair grow. And how do you grow strong hair? Well, if you have a good multivitamin. You have a good multivitamin. You take a good amount of vitamin C, and you take both of those with food. You keep your selenium up. Selenium no less than 100 mcgs every other day. Zinc no less than 100 milligrams, every other day. You keep your, if you're taking amino acids, take your L-cysteine. There are many ways that you can grow good hair. You can take brewer's yeast with choline bitartrate, lecithin. If you can find a good source of lecithin, such as brewer's yeast is a good source of lecithin. You can also get it. Chocolate actually has lecithin in it. Go to your health food store and look for a good source of lecithin. If you can get lecithin and choline bitartrate in the same pill, which I believe you can do that. If not, just take a separate lecithin pill, take a choline bitartrate pill. I prefer natural sources, but I don't mind augmenting natural sources with vitamin pills. I think the vitamin industry in the United States is strong because we don't have that codex that has clogged and taken away the choices of people in Europe. Definitely take any kind of, stay well hydrated. Just going into it, but just stand by a minute. Hair. You need, if you have a low thyroid output, make sure that your thyroid is working appropriately. If it isn't working appropriately, do what you need to do to take care of that thyroid process. I take something called Atomidine, Atomidine. That's an Edgar Casey product. I take it every other day, sometimes every day. It depends on what my Kundalini wants. My hair grows, my nails grow, my skin is, evidently I still have it. Things seem to be working for me when I take 1 drop of that in about 8 ounces or 6 ounces of water. Get clean water. Do not drink fluoridated water. If you can, do not toxify your system inordinately. In the United States, a lot of the communities have been hoodwinked into thinking that they need to put fluoride in the water so you don't have to take care of your teeth. Well, that's great. That's something that the dentists are all behind because they think they know. But fluoride is a toxic poison that we wouldn't feed a lab rat if we knew more about it. But because we don't know more about it, and we're listening to dentists and other people that are, basically supported by the chemical companies, we don't listen to that. So don't drink any toxified water. Keep yourself. Yes.
Julia is asking, what's that tapping noise?
Oh,
it might
sorry.
be your chair.
She knows exactly what it is too. She's laughing at us. I'm going to stop him from rocking that chair. Okay, I've stopped. Going back into the nutrients here. Certainly within the Kundalini, eat meat when it wants you to eat that meat. Don't think that if you're a vegetarian that you're going to grow more hair. Do within a Kundalini context, do have those 2 egg yolks every day if you can. This helps to build the new neural system. That new neural system will also help to grow new hair. If you're a man and you've had the male pattern balding, go to the Edgar Casey treatment centers in there. Go to Edgar Casey treatment baldness and get some of those guidelines, nutrients. And it will mention the etomidine, but it'll also mention Pennsylvania crude oil hair treatment, and you can do that. Massage the scalp, massage the places where you want to have the hair. Give yourself a daily scalp massage. If you take a shower every day, which we're not doing in California because of the drought, so be advised, those of you with sensitive nostrils. Give yourself a scalp massage every day, every single day, and don't be gentle with it. Get in there. Give yourself that scalp massage, and make sure that your thyroid is working well. Make sure that you're taking the vitamins and nutrients that you need, and those that I've stated right now, in conjunction with getting lots of exercise. Rosemary, she'll walk 2 or 3 miles every day. Do the 5 Tibetans. Follow the safety protocols. That will also engender positive hair development. Over. Wait a minute. Julia says, in Chinese medicine, Julia says, massaging the scalp with raw ginger juice is supposed to stimulate hair growth. And Hailey says, raw ginger, have to try it. I love the raw ginger. Julia is the one that started giving me ginger when she came over here, and it's just the best stuff in the world. Really, really, really use it. Looks like Hailey says, what about hair color? Stay away from coloring the hair. Stay away from abusive hair products. And Elizabeth is saying, I do take the supplements, vitamins and etomidine, but I noticed ever since the shock pot last fall in Minnesota, with some guy, my hair has grown about 8 inches and just has gone wild.
Wow.
I don't know who that some guy was. And Phil Karuba says there was a recent study that showed balding men who tugged their hair out, it actually grew back thicker and fuller. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Elizabeth. This is the stuff. And let's see, Phil Karuba says, there is one thing that I know that will definitely stop the hair from falling on the floor. I see. The floor has stopped the hair from falling. I get it. Oh, God, that's almost as bad as mine. I think you should be punished for that one, though. I think we should devise a Phil Karuba punishment for that one. Okay. We'll have to have him on the show, I think. Julia says, wow, you are lucky, Elizabeth. Ever since the shock spot last fall, my hair has fallen out in bales. I have lost a bale of hair every day. No, she says, let me get back here. She says, ever since the shock spot last fall, my hair has fallen out in unbelievably huge amounts. And let's see, I gotta go back. Luckily, it was too thick to begin with. It's just the thinning process, Julia. You're doing well. It's just giving your. And let's see. Tanya says, "Yay! I've been eating an egg a day, wondering why am I eating this egg a day? I have a friend who keeps giving me eggs." Right on, Tanya. Phil Karuba says it's a joke. Yes, we kind of got that, Phil. Elizabeth says, "Oh no! Now I have to grow now I have to have your hair, Julia." Yeah. So the hair, grow the hair long. If you look at Julia's hair and you go onto the YouTube network and you punch in Chrism.Kundalini, and you'll see what she's talking. She's got the most gorgeous hair in the world. Seriously long, seriously beautiful in color. Seriously thick. I mean, oh my gosh, you could make ropes out of Julia's hair, but it would be the most beautiful ropes in the world. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, grow your hair long. Really happy to hear that about you, Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez. Really happy to hear that you are indeed growing. Your hair is growing really, really long. And I look at Brooke's hair and Rosemary's hair, and they got both healthy hair. So keep it going, girls. Okay, I'm done with that one.
Okay, thank you. Next question. If all the Christian saints had Kundalini activated and had Kundalini phenomena and mystical experience and communion with the divine, how come the Kundalini mystics are still looked upon with suspicion and even fear?
Well,
by religion, I suppose. Anyway.
I never said that all Christian saints had Kundalini, because there were a lot of saints that were just political. You know, they were made a saint because the Catholic Church liked the way they towed the line, like St. Augustine. But I'm going to pass this on over to Rosemary. She's going to answer this.
This is something Chrism and I have been talking about today, and it is really not so clear in my mind, and I guess this is to help me reach some clarity. One of the things that I was telling people this past year when I would show the Kundalini film, I would encourage them to see it in light of what they already know, which is, to me, God's presence in them and guiding them in their life, and that it would come together for them in the appropriate way. And I see God's presence and Kundalini blending. I don't know how to distinguish them. I don't want to really, and it is probably mostly from my background and my life and my relationship with our divine creator, that everything that I have heard about Kundalini and my own experience in those moments, I don't have the spinal suite, but I have moments of joy and energy and tears when I feel that connection, and the kriyas that I have in my meditation and the pranayama breathing. And so that brings it together for me. People have...
Go back to the question, though. How come people are looking at the saints with misgivings? And if they have the Kundalini?
Well, the question is about the saints having the Kundalini.
Yeah.
I imagine, well...
Ask the question again.
Yeah.
I will. If all the Christian saints had Kundalini activated and had Kundalini phenomena and mystical experiences and communion with the divine, how come the mystics, the Kundalini and mystics, are still looked upon with suspicion and even fear?
Thank you. That clarifies it in my mind. It also, not only with fear, but they are often perceived as diabolical. There are terrible treatment that the holy mystics, in at least I know my background of the Christian faith, have been terribly mistreated. And it may only be years after their death that things become clear. And it is not any fault or on the Kundalini's presence or fault, but on the lack of understanding that people don't, it's an understanding that's lacking of what Kundalini is, and the failure, strong word, or say the lack of appropriate teaching within religion itself. Religion maybe has become far more important in our life, and what Chrism said earlier about being maybe a ladder, but it's not the whole thing. It's just a practice. It's an external thing. And this deeper presence and active divine presence within us is what it's to lead to. And from my history, and the majority of the world, well, no, it's not the majority of the world, but the Christian world has been external practice and more manipulation after the first few centuries. And that doesn't lead to Kundalini. Its surrender to Kundalini is what gets us there. But it's not through the practice of external practices. And I don't know if that's clear, but I'm thinking that, and even our own lives, I'm sure there are many people Kundalini active who would clearly tell you how little they are understood and accepted by family and friends and colleagues if family and friends and colleagues knew the whole story. People just don't get it. They're locked into what they think God is, who God is, and where God is present in our lives. And before I went to Chrism's seminar and received that activation and continued as his student, I still wouldn't have this from my religion, what I have now.
I think that's a fantastic explanation, actually.
Well
wonderful.
Said.
Thank you.
Said. Yeah, thank you, Rosemary. Right. Well, from the mouth of a saint. From the mouth of a saint. And so here's the deal. And then Phil Karuba is writing, there is the good side and the dark side of the Kundalini.
Phil, you are my son. I am your father.
My Darth Vader impression. There's a big Blake. Did you hear my Darth Vader, Centaur?
I did. I've heard it before.
Never mind.
But isn't that an interesting point, though? The good side and the dark side of the Kundalini, as the Kundalini is perceived to have a good side and a dark side. Is that worth discussing?
Phil says I'm a Jedi. So here's the deal. Let's look at the saints and the mystics, though. Let's look at what they could do. For Saint Teresa of Avila, when she was praying in chapels, there are documents stating that fires would break out in the chapel. She was levitating. She had to have other sisters sit near her to hold her to the bench. That scares the heck out of people. Somebody who could talk to the animals like St. Francis of Assisi, that scares the heck out of people. So, of course, they're going to be frightened by people who can do what 99% of the other people can't do. By their fruits shall you know them. And if you don't know any of their fruit, but you're looking at their activities, that can be scary. That would be of the devil. Satanic this, satanic that. Somebody's dreaming about Kundalini snakes, and they're a Christian mystic like Saint Philip of Neri, who could lift his bed with his mind. That's going to scare the heck out of people. Torquemada's going to come knocking on your door and say, "Oh, I think you need to be burned at the stake, boy." What do you... He probably wouldn't say it like that.
No.
Go ahead. Next question.
But isn't it true also, just like that, the control then you see goes, well, I'm not pass. I'm going on to the next question.
Maggie's got too much push in that room. I can't disagree there, Fasty.
Okay, next question.
Go ahead. Get your composure. I dare you to better read it right now. Go ahead.
Does Kundalini is Kundalini limited only to human? Or is it also for aliens?
For who?
Aliens. And limited only to humans, or is it also for aliens? Including animals? Do they experience also Kundalini? Okay, I'm done now. I don't have to say more.
Aliens can use the Kundalini, and they're aliens, what we call aliens, that will sometimes harvest Kundalini from people. There are many species of aliens around this world, around this solar system, in this part of the multiverse. Some are from our current time space. Some are from a dimensional fold. People are very special in the fact that we can go from zero to divinity in a very specific level of time. And a lot of species are somewhat jealous of that. Not real happy on it. They think they can use the Kundalini to do a certain thing. They think that they can harvest the Kundalini. I know that a man in Peru, he has kind of a big following now in Los Angeles, where he takes people down to Peru, where an alien ship, came to him and activated his Kundalini. You go down to John of God, that's all ET there. And I love John of God. I love what they do. They do good work down there, but that is all ET. And until lately, they weren't afraid to admit it. Until lately, they had a big, huge picture on the wall with Jesus standing right in front of the biggest alien spaceship you could have ever seen. And the employees there are constantly saying, yeah, we see them. They just fly into the side of the mountain and disappear. So it's like Talos at the base of Mount Shasta. Well, evidently there's another big town under the ground, under John of God. A lot of people come to John of God. What?
You're tapping.
You're walking.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Tanya asked a question. She says, I have a question. When I was meditating the other day, I saw my cousin's daughter getting hurt. She was in a fight. I have seen her for years. She's not in my mind. It was very clear. I wondered if I should do anything or say anything to anyone. If you feel called, Tanya, if you feel pulled to do that, then send her a note. Send her a note that maybe she doesn't want to get in any fights in the near future. As far as in the alien context, yeah, there's a lot of aliens out there, and one of the aliens said to an MD, there was a craft went down over Brazil, and the authorities, the military authorities, were looking for one alien that was on the loose, and it was a reptilian. And it was a benevolent reptilian, however, and an MD found the reptilian, and the reptilian supposedly telepathically communicated to the MD, medical doctor, that the reptilian said something along these lines. He says, if you only knew the amazing scope of the power that you have being a human being, you are 1,000,000 times stronger than you know and more powerful than you know. And it's only your innocence and your ignorance that keeps you in check. So there you have it, folks. And frankly, that's the Kundalini he's talking about. We have the ability to manipulate stars. We have the ability to stop time. We have the ability to do so many amazing things that I can't even put words to it. We are vastly powerful. But, we got to get this ego thing into control. And, of course, that's what our society does to us. Our society feeds us ego food. It feeds us ego food so that we aren't able to remember who we are or how we are, what we are. And a lot of those aliens really, they want that. They want that because they like to harvest us and to use us for whatever end. They just, because they don't have the Kundalini themselves, they harvest us to try to use our Kundalini for whatever purpose they have. For the most part, they're not successful, but, for another part, through their own immense ego blockages, if, in a way, we are children of the divine, and so if they can mutilate and hurt and aggravate the children of the divine, well then, they can have their revenge against the divine not giving them what it's given us. I have met fallen angels. I know how fallen angels think. I know they were very conversive with me. One in particular. And they basically see us as talking apes and not worthy of divine grace. And this one was encapsulated. It was encapsulated in a shall we say, a holding area for its participation and perhaps in depredations upon the human race. So yeah, aliens are looking at this. Aliens know we have it. Some aliens can activate it within us. Do they have it themselves? Some do, most don't. As far as the animals do, yes, they do. They do indeed. They just don't have a huge ego that blocks it from being expressive within them. And they do not have, shall we say, at least in this timeline upon this world right now, they don't have the permission to allow their Kundalini to come full. But they have it. Lasha has it. She knows where to seek it out. She knows exactly where the Kundalini spots are in this house. And she will go and she will sit there or lay there. She lays on Brooke's bed, on Rosemary's bed, my bed. She sits in my chair. This is her chair as far as she's concerned. Butterflies, birds, insects, animals, serpents, lizards, they all come to Kundalini people. St. Francis of Assisi was not telling, these are not fables about him. He had Kundalini, and so the critters liked him. That's how it works. Because they recognize Kundalini, they recognize it as a source of the divine, they are attracted to it because it helps in their development and their individual evolution. Over.
Can you clarify something about that, Chrism? I can understand, aliens taking revenge on the divine by doing horrible things to a human, but I'm not quite understanding that an alien could use Kundalini or actually harvest Kundalini, have power over the Kundalini. Am I misunderstanding that? Or
no. It's a shady area. If you read typically what they would do, they would torture the human to such a degree that the Kundalini awakens within the person. And then they try to use any skill sets that come naturally to the human through the awakening of the divine to work certain patterns of energetic equation that they have in mind. It's not a pretty thing at all. They're still trying to get it right. They don't recognize the consciousness of divinity, and so they're only getting a portion of the game. But they're trying to use the portion that they do get to further their own agenda.
Okay, thank you. Have I done? Am I finished? Oh, there's another one. I know. Panic. No, I have another one. I asked them out of sequence, you see. Okay, the shivers, this is from the group, the shivers we get when we listen to really good music. Does it have anything to do with Kundalini? I'm asking because it's coming from my spine and then around my body when I listen to good music.
It could be. Or as they say out here in the West, could be.
Could be.
She's not really giving me, you can listen to good music and just get a shiver of appreciation for sure. That's not necessarily Kundalini. No. You get a Kriya, it's a different deal. You get a Kriya, so shall we say you get a full body Kriya with it, well, then that might be a little different. But I would, for me to DX, Kundalini off of that, I would have to say no.
Okay, Well, there's another question, and it says, ever since I can remember, I have had these spontaneous, what I can describe as chills, since I was a teenager at least, way before my Kundalini awakening. All of a sudden, my body shakes for a second as if something went through me. What is this, and does anyone else experience this?
Have you had that, Santara?
Well, yes, I have.
What do you think it is then?
Yeah, well, I know it's Kundalini when I experience that. Kundalini responds sometimes that way in me. It's like a communication to me.
Okay. Go on.
No, I'm done.
All right. So yeah. Like I said, I mean, I like to see 3 or more Kundalini phenomena at the very least before I start saying, oh, there's Kundalini going on there. Or at least one very, very strong one.
Yes. So, like, for me, that would be something that kind of goes on throughout the day, in different ways. It wouldn't be the only thing, obviously. So if that was on its own, that wouldn't be enough. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Next question. Uh-oh.
That's it? Yep, that is it. I have no question.
All right. Well, I would like to thank Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, Atlantis Seeker, Julia Baschi, guest 1433, guest 1444, Heli Hainonen, MJ Henderson, Madeva Sadvi, Bill Karuba, and A.A. Tanya. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you, Eileen Laurel, for listening on the telephone. Thank you, Santara. Thank you, Rosemary. And thank you, Brooke. And thank you, Lasha. And thank you, the Kundalini. Would you like to say anything, Santara?
Thank you, Chrism. This was a wonderful show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brooke, and thank you, Rosemary, and everybody in the chat room. It's lovely to have interaction in the chat room, isn't it? It's great to have people talking and discussing. I really enjoyed that today with everybody.
Great group today, folks. You're a really good group.
Yeah, super.
So
thanks. Thank you. And next week again, we'll be same time, same bat channel. So tune in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.